Hey everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of Artist Talk. This is my show where I chat with some of my favorite musicians I've gotten to play with over the years. This week I got to speak with an old friend, Arlan Feiles. Arlan is a songwriter from Asbury Park, New Jersey, where I lived for a short time playing with my band Lighting Jar. We caught up, we talked about some of the old days, but we also talked about some projects he has coming up. He has two albums on the front. The first one is a collaborative production effort with Asbury Park soul singing legend JT Bowen. Arlan produced this record where JT is performing all of Arlan's own written songs. It's a gorgeous record full of horns, backup vocals, and soul songs, but also has a folk grit to it. It's really beautiful. Arlan himself is preparing to release another record called Blame Me. Now, Arlan has a history of political or civil action inspired songs, but Blame Me sort of turns inward. And we talk about that shift and some really noble causes he has coming up in the near future. If you're liking this show, these conversations, please like and subscribe down below. Without further ado, enjoy my conversation with Asbury Park songwriter legend Arlan Feiles. There he is.
Here I am. How you doing, brother?
The legend himself. What's up, Arlan?
Legend in my own mind, my wife would tell me. Yes. Correct.
Well, I'm with you in that mindset, so don't worry.
How are you, man?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
Busy, but lots of
Seems
good things.
like it.
Yeah, getting around these days a little bit.
Yeah. You were just in Nashville, right?
Yeah, I just got back a couple of days ago. Was there for the week for the to enjoy the Americana Music Festival. It's just terrific, you know. And I just run into like people I haven't seen from all over the country, the world even. I always feel kind of a little bit on the outside, but I get there and I really do feel like I belong in the community and
like they're pretty welcoming.
Yeah, for the most part. You still have your purists.
Well, I think that word Americana is so misused, or at least it's taken on a misused connotation. Like, okay, what's American? Like, folk and country is American? No, like, American can be so many things. And to me, your music probably actually fits that word better than any other music because you do a lot of roots and you do soul and you do jump around a little bit.
Well, so to the organization's credit, they have widened their umbrella considerably in the last few years. The truth is that, as you say, it became kind of a either country or mountain white, twangy kind of definition of what Americana music was, and that was that way for some time. And I think that they've done a great job of widening the community, being more inclusive to music that is rooted truly in the American music experience, not influenced by the Beatles or by pop music.
Americana Fest is like, that's like their South by Southwest now. You know, it's huge. Right. It's good that with it growing, they're also growing like basically the definition of what they do.
There has to be room for, you know, all these artists to be included because we're all a part of the American music experience.
I have to ask you, this is a little bit of a change, but as an Asbury Park former resident, why was Pat Guadonna there? What is
Pat Guadagno? So his daughter, first of all, his daughter lives in Nashville.
Okay.
And he's a huge fan of the genre of songwriters, you know. He's just a great guy. I got off the plane. The first person I heard from, my text went off. I'm picking you up at the airport.
That's amazing.
And I was like, come on, seriously? He's like, yeah, what time you landed?
Did Katie arrange that? Did Katie send him a text message?
No, he just knew I was coming in and he was there. And we actually ran into each other at the airport on the way there last year. And sat and, you know, had coffee while we were waiting for the plane. And so he picked me up at the airport. We went and had a nice breakfast, and I ran into him several times during the event, which was always
great.
I ran into a ton of Jersey folks there. Mike Montrey, the Mike Montrey band, they're all from New Jersey, and Carmen Sclefani of Wiser Time. But I also ran into Sahara Moon, who's a wonderful young songwriter. She actually did me the honor of singing a song with me on my set there, and a few others. There's a contingency growing. It's nice to go down and kind of feel like home, So
yeah, you have friends in
Kathleen
good places.
Farcey, she has this Tunes to You. You might have come across her.
Okay.
She's a New Jersey gal, and she does a lot of booking for artists. I know Mike Montrey is one of her clients, and she's been promoting her Jerseycana brand, and she's been going to Americana Fest for the last like 18 years, and she finally made her dream come true and brought down some of her favorite artists, invited me to be on the bill as well, and kind of put that together.
You're talking about going to the Music City and finding like comforts of people from home, and you're referring to New Jersey. Like, when do you think that tipped?
I have several homes.
Yeah.
I also ran into some friends from Los Angeles. So, but yeah, New Jersey is clear. I've been here as long as I lived in Los Angeles now. So it truly is my home. And you asked what the tipping point was. Is just when I married a Jersey girl. We're raising 3 New Jersey children.
The oldest is a middle schooler now.
She just started middle school. Yeah, she'll be 11 next month.
This is wild.
And
I remember working at Rook Coffee and you running in with her in your arms, like she was a toddler, at the at the train station there. And wow,
that's right, you work over there. I was a bit of a stay-home dad for the next year of each of our children's lives, and stopped through the Rook there and grab coffee. And
yeah, I have this maybe characterized and exaggerated memory of you, like you would call ahead and we'd get your coffee order and I'd say, oh, that's Arlan, and then but you'd come in like a force, like you'd come in with the kid and you're like, I got the coffee, blah, blah, blah. And you come out there like, what the hell just happened? Who is that guy? I'm like, that's Arlan, don't worry, he's doing his thing.
On his way, watch out.
Oh yeah, as usual, and you still are. But okay, so I do want to ask you, this is a little bit as someone who lived there, but you've been in Asbury Park or that area for 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it sit now relative to where it's been? Like, is it still like the drifted town that you sang about, or like what is it?
Not one bit. Not one bit. It's wonderful to see. I mean, this town is completely transformed in the 20 years that I've been playing in Asbury Park. And like you said, that song "Drifted Town" that I dedicated to the city of Asbury, which was a fair, I think, definition of the town.
I was there.
It was a ghost town. There was fences around buildings. There was, everything was in a real terrible state of disrepair. And as the shirts say, music saved Asbury Park. I think that's quite true. And the mystique and the lore around the city continues to this day and has seen a major influx. I mean, when I first started playing Asbury, there was a lot of great songwriters. Rick Barry, Val Emmich was playing in the area often. You guys came around not too long after. There was just great songwriters. What lacked in Asbury Park was musicians, not a lot of players to support those bands or those songwriters, and that's completely changed. We have some of the finest musicians now in Asbury Park, and there's no shortage of great players in town. That's made the music scene that much bigger, that much more exciting. The venues keep growing, the buildings keep getting built. I know a lot of artists really suffer with the idea of gentrification because ultimately, as artists, we get priced out. the transition to a music culture that caters to a wider audience is a little more challenging than that of an artsy, broken town where pretty much anything goes. I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, from 95 to 2000, which had a very similar beginning of Asbury Park. I watched that place grow and turn into a place I couldn't afford to live any longer. And I was fine with that. I think, neighborhoods need to grow into healthy environments where people can earn money and they can live safely. And it's basically, join or go somewhere else and do the same thing. I did that in Miami Beach in the early 90s. Another example of a place where I went as an artist and watched it kind of turn into a place I couldn't afford to live anymore.
You should have been a real estate investor. You seem to know
I
where.
should have. If I had bought a place in every one of these towns, I'd be a millionaire.
Oh my God.
I could kick myself. But
it's good to hear that it's like that it's still resting on or depending on the things that built it, rather. It's not like moving on from it or pushing it aside. It seems like the town is still paying some homage, or at least depending on the people that have been around, that the music that built it.
Absolutely, and I would say that's what makes Asbury Park unique to the other cities that I mentioned. Mm-hmm. The economy of Asbury Park is still based around the idea of being a destination to go hear music. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been a critical thing. What Danny Clinch has brought to the area has been incredible. I mean, the See Here Now festival is probably one of the top festivals now on the East Coast.
And a lot of locals are. I mean, I'm looking at my timeline on Facebook, and it's like, Doug Zambon and all these people that were just scrappy teenagers when I was there.
Yeah, and Danny's making opportunities for them to get on big stages and be a part of something quite huge. So when that's happening, it's okay, to clean up the streets and to create, newer venues that cater to more people. But because I'm here, I've decided to, kind of to play in and take part of the continued growth of Asbury Park. And as long as it continues to cater to music, then it's home. There's no reason to go.
Yeah, and that's perfect transition for your work with JT Bowen, which I want to talk about, because that's awesome and I love it. I love what I'm hearing and I love what I'm seeing. But okay, for those who don't know, JT is sort of this local legend who played with Clarence Clemons' band in the Red Bank Rockers, right? And he's sort of this soul singer. And you just did a record with him where he's singing all your songs.
Yeah.
So how did you get like the audacity, the nerve to ask him to sing all your songs? To me, like that would be so intimidating to walk up to someone and just ask them to do that. But it's gorgeous. I mean, I love, obviously Viola just takes on a totally different feel and sound and meaning, perhaps, with the singers and the horns coming in, and then Don't Back Down is just like, it's so good. Tell me about how you got started with JT and how all that happened.
Well, JT, I'd heard of him. I'd been playing in the area for years and I hadn't met him. I had known that, Springsteen kind of cites him as one of his early vocal influences. Mm-hmm. And then, that he played with Clarence. And we ended up on the same bill for a charity event over at the Strand Theater in Lakewood. And I had played my set. And afterwards, JT approached me. I guess he had been asking who I was. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey there, young man. You write songs." I said, "Yes, I do." "Yes, I do write songs." He goes, "I'm JT Bowen." I said, "I know who you are." And there just something clicked in my head. And I said, I know exactly who you are. And you should let me make your next record.
You said that right away?
Yeah. I said, we should meet and talk about it because, I've got some great songs that you'd sound spectacular on. And he looked at me, he goes, okay.
So
and
he
we
was
met
just
for
looking
lunch.
to sing. He was looking to sing.
JT Bowen is known as a soul man, and he wears slick suits, and he'll come out and he will kill some Otis Redding for you, like just absolutely destroy. Yeah. And I said, JT, we all know you as a soul man, but I'm really interested in getting to know the man, JT Bowen. And these songs I have are maybe a little different for you. They're a little more intimate. They're a little more soul searching. They speak on social injustice and inequality. And I think it would be something with your voice, which has so much conviction and power, that you can make people listen to these songs and make the world a better place. JT goes, well, one thing I've learned, when God talks to me, I listen. Let's do it. Wow. And so he took it as a sign. I guess he was looking for, and I'm not a religious man, JT's a very religious Christian, and I'm a Jewish boy from LA. And we have come together and formed this bond and special relationship. But it's been a passion project of mine and his for a long time, and we've grown extremely close, like family. And I'm more proud of the record that we've done than my newest record. Even I just think it's so special, and to hear his voice on my songs, I'm like, oh.
What are the ways that you're rethinking about or contextualizing your songs with him singing them, and in the setting that you're how you're decorating them as well? How does that change your songs?
Okay, so I've a history of writing and speaking on civil liberties, and voting rights specifically has been a big issue for me. Racial inequality, these things, and
50 miles, right? The whole.
So in the modern age, look, as a Jew, I have a history with our people and our heritage of enslavement and bigotry. And because of that, as Jews in this country, we're very generally empathetic and sympathetic to the plight that continues for people of color in our country, and their closer history of enslavement. And I've always marched alongside of our brothers and sisters of color, and have made that a big part of my platform, and a reason why I write songs is using music and song as a tool, basically to share and hopefully to inspire people into action. So what is interesting is that I'm when I'm singing about 50 miles in Selma, or
Don't Back Down,
right, or these kind of marching songs, I'm not trying to be that person. I'm trying to say we have to protect these people, right? So when JT sings it becomes a personal, like a deeply personal matter for him. So it changes the narrative from them to me. And so the power that brings to the song is really I think it's just incredible the way.
And there's even the opposite transition with Viola in a way, because Viola is a white woman who died during the Montgomery bus boycotts.
Yeah,
and
the Montgomery March.
And listening to JT sing "I Hope You're With Me," it's just it changes the directionality of it all.
And so importantly, because sadly, there's many in the civil rights movement that are still shy to give credit to the sacrifice Viola made. Slowly, she has been more and more recognized as a civil rights martyr. President Obama spoke of Viola during his first inauguration speech, which was the first time many African Americans had ever heard her name. And still to this day, there are many, and I talk about her, that haven't. So there's been kind of a slow coming to recognizing the sacrifice she made. We all are connected by this issue, not just people of color in this country.
Mhm.
And I think the more that's recognized, the more we can all come together and, march together. I
Well, I
think it's
think
an important thing.
you're a big part of that, right? Like I had never heard her name, and that story I had never heard until I heard you. So definitely, I don't want to. We're we're really proud that you should be of the JT record, but you continue to write these songs that have this meaning. Although on Blame Me, it does feel a little more personal. It feels I'm coming into your home or coming into your heart and listening to your relationships and your inner dialogue about those relationships. So I don't want you to throw Blame Me, down the stairs at all, because it's incredible record. So tell me about that transition to these very personal songs in Blame Me. What's going on there?
A lot of the songs that I've written in the past have been calls for action. A lot of songs that, quite frankly, place blame on others. And, I always say, like, when you're writing a song, in the verses, you have an idea and you're telling a story that, kind of when you get to the bridge, it's time to now kind of turn it in on itself and look at that idea from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And so this record's kind of like my bridge. It's I'm turning it in on myself, taking responsibility for the role I play and failure to make either my home and my community or the world a better place. Not just looking at others and their actions and placing responsibility on them, but kind of saying, okay, hey, now what have I done? You're right, blame me, because I can be a hypocrite sometimes. I can make mistakes. I can forget my role in my marriage and in my family and in my community, and we're all guilty of those things. And I just thought it was an important perspective to share in my experience. And so it's a protest record against me.
I know. I think that's so important. That's like one of the most political things you could do.
You got to own it.
There's almost like a dispel that you're doing about like the myth of a plateau of like things getting easier, things like there's no horizon, right? Like you think that this is going to get easier at some point, or you think this is going to go away. No, like the conflict is part of the journey. I see that in so many of the songs. I think you're doing great work, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'm such a big fan of yours. I take that as a big compliment. I appreciate that.
Just happy about the time that we've had together. We were there for 4 years in Asbury Park during what I feel like was a significant era. And I still see you doing good stuff like this. It's awesome.
One of my fondest memories from that time when you guys were around. I don't remember what the event was. It was at the Wonder Bar, and I don't know if you remember this. My song "Come Sunday Morning."
Oh yeah.
We all gathered on the floor in the middle of the crowd and did
I
an
forgot
acoustic.
about this.
Yeah, you guys we did like 4-part harmony or something like that for the song, and we all we set up right in the middle of the crowd on the floor with our acoustic guitars and just hushed the whole room.
Like I don't remember a lot of things from that era, if you know what I mean. It was a little bit hazy. But this morning I was going through your catalog this morning, and I jumped right to Come Sunday Morning. And I was like, I love this song, and I remember the moments I came across Viola. I remember the moments I came across Don't Back Down, but I didn't remember where that had come from. And certainly it was from singing it with you, of course.
Yes. That was a terrific performance. It's a fond memory I have from that time period. I think of it often. Yeah.
Tell us what's next. Like what's coming up? You have the record coming up, but like, do you have shows you want to talk about or projects?
Sure. Well, JT and I both have our records coming out in the next month or so. But in the meantime, there's a couple shows I'm playing a folk and Roots Music Festival in Highland Park on October 1st.
Great.
And I'll be playing with a band at Langosta Lounge on the 27th of October. But before that, actually, the 25th of this month, so I guess coming up this Sunday, JT and I are playing a really special event. We are playing a venue called the Turf Club, which is on the west side of Asbury Park, which is still very much economically challenged. The Turf Club is historic club. Yeah, it was part of what was called the Chitlin Circuit back in the 50s and 60s. Billie Holiday played there, Count Basie played there, and JT with Clarence Clemons played there in the 60s. We went to visit the club, which is now just stands as four walls and rafters. There's no actual roof on top of the building.
Oh, wow.
It's a hollow shell of a building. And I asked, we went to visit that with the councilwoman, Yvonne Clayton. The Asbury Park African American Music Project has been raising money and finding grants to rebuild and to reopen the Turf Club. And I asked JT, when was the last time you played the Turf Club? He said the late 60s. I went to tour in Idaho when the riots of 1970 occurred and the building was destroyed, and it's been closed ever since.
Wow.
And we've been invited to do a very special performance Sunday afternoon. Like I said, there's no electric, there's no walls. It's just a shell of a place. And Asbury Media is bringing in a sound system. And people are invited to bring chairs to sit on the what's left of the ground with kind of weeds and grass growing up under. And we're going to be doing a performance there the 25th, 3 to 5 p.m. It's a free show. They have received some grants from the state to host music events, and they are trying to raise money to further improve the structure and bring music back to the west side, which so very badly needs it. If you go on the other side of the main street and the train tracks in Asbury, it's like a beautiful place to live. But there's a whole nother half of Asbury Park that continues to be neglected.
That's amazing that you're getting some help on that too, that that they're coming through with some of the money to keep that going. And we talk about the town growing, but that's really just one part of the town that's growing, it sounds like. So it's great that you're helping out.
There's a lot of work to be done. And it's really the community of true Asbury Park residents, not transplants, but these are kids and people that have generations of family.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to see you, man.
It's great to see you too. I really appreciate you taking the time to catch up with me and to share my music. So I appreciate it.
It's great. It's great stuff. And I can't wait for the release.
Thanks. All right. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Tell Katie I said hi.
All right, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.
You know where to be.